This lesson is on solving for a variable. They're called literal equations. So in this equation, what we want to solve for is x. So we're trying to get x by itself in this. So what I want, if I'm solving for x, is to get this by itself in the end. So our first step is to move the negative 4y to the other side. Well, how are you going to do that? It's a negative 4y, so you want to add. Okay, so now I have 3x equals 7 plus 4y. So again, what I'm trying to do is isolate this x. So my second move is to get rid of the 3. Well, it's 3 times x, so I need to do the opposite of that, which is divide. So then I know that my answer is that x is going to equal 7 plus 4y over 3. And you want to still have variables in this, so you want your variables to stay, because we're not solving for a number, we're solving for a variable here, trying to get the variable by itself. So our next one, solving for y. So circle your y. So the first thing you need to move is the plus 1. Well, if you're moving a plus 1, you want to subtract it to the other side. So now you have 15y equals x minus 1. So then my second move, because I'm trying to isolate the y, is to move the 15. Well, it's 15 times y, so the opposite of that is to divide. So when I divide that to the other side, I'm just going to divide the entire problem by 15. And this is my answer. Okay, so on number 3, I'm solving this for x. I want to get x by itself. So let's circle the x. There's a whole bunch of variables in here. So the first thing I want to do is move the stuff that's not with the x. So that's negative 2y. And how are you going to move that? You're going to add. Because it's negative 2y, we want to add it to their side. So now I have ex equals 3z plus 2y. So we're still trying to get the x by itself. So in order to do that, we need to move e. Well, it's e times x. Well, what's the opposite of times? To divide. So we're going to divide e. So our answer is going to look like this. And again, you still have 3 variables on the right-hand side, and that's perfectly fine. Number 4, our goal is to solve for y. So let's circle our y. So we need to move the stuff that's not with the y first. Well, what's not with the y is a, and it's a plus a, so the opposite of that is to subtract. So I'm going to move this over here. I now have 3/5 y equals b minus a. Okay, so again, our job is to get y by itself. So we need to move the 3/5. Remember that 3/5 is a fraction, and it's 3/5 times y. So we want to divide, but when you're dividing fractions, remember that what you're really doing is multiplying by the reciprocal. Okay, so if you forgot what the reciprocal was, the reciprocal is when I take it and flip it upside down. So I want to multiply this whole side over here by 5/3. So when I rewrite my final answer, I would write it as 5/3 parentheses b minus a, because we want to multiply that 5/3 to every part of it. You've probably seen this equation many times. This is our slope formula. So we want to see what it is to get m by itself. Remember that m is what slope is. So we're trying to isolate slope. So we want to move everything that's not with the m first, and that's going to be the plus b. So with plus b, I want to subtract. So I'm going to have y minus b equals mx. So again, we're still trying to get this m by itself, so we need to move the x to the other side. Well, it's m times x. The opposite of that is going to be to divide. So we're dividing the x away. So our m is going to be equal to y minus b over x as our final equation for that. Okay, number 6. In this one, we're solving for y. So we need to move a whole bunch of stuff first. So the first thing we need to do is get rid of the fraction. So we need to move the 3 to begin with. And it says divided by 3. So we want to multiply that to the other side. So now you have b times y plus 2 equals 3 times c, which is just 3c. My second move, I'm trying to get y by itself, so I need to move the 2 to the other side. So it's a plus 2, so to move it, we're going to subtract. So I have by equals 3c minus 2. Then my third move, when trying to get the y by itself, is to move the b. So it's b times y, so I need to divide by b, meaning I have to divide the entire equation by b. And that's going to give me a final equation of 3c minus 2 over b. Okay, so our last one on here, we are solving this one for r. So my first step is a little bit different than you would think. I have to get rid of the fraction. So I'm going to move the r to begin with. So I'm going to move the r to the other side, and how am I going to do that? By multiplying. This will make sense in just a second. So I have r times p is equal to e squared. So now this is a little bit easier because we're still just trying to get the r by itself. So it's r times p. Well, we need to move the p now. So it's r times p, so we want to divide it to the other side. If you divide by p, that's going to give you that r equals e squared over p, and r is by itself now.